So welcome back again to the VW ID.4 podcast. Here we are, Jan and Wes, because Jan has done some research and we have heard you folks asking about these recent VW battery recalls. And we wanted to just briefly go over what those entail. So far, there are two separate battery recalls, Jan. One is the V28. Is that correct? And one is the V30.
So let's check out where you can see the details.
Right. You go to NHTSA.gov/recalls. NHTSA is, of course, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA. NHTSA.gov. /recalls.
Yes. And you'll find this page where you can either paste in your license plate or your VIN. If you, of course, paste your VIN, it shows you the specific model. So here we'll click, for example, on the 2024 ID.4, right? You see that there are 8 recalls. It doesn't mean that all these recalls will be active at this moment. It shows you all the recalls for that model from the very beginning. And Wes mentioned that there are 2 recent recalls, these 2.
And so the difference here is that one of them, the one where you have the big red box, not Jan's box, the other one, that says fire risk warning, right?
Yes.
That's the V028. That is a risk where they have identified through a lot of work a manufacturing defect where the cathode in the battery is misaligned. It can cause it to short circuit and catch on fire. And this is a very small number of vehicles. It's something like 600. Yeah, but it's serious enough to where they're saying essentially there's 100% chance that this will eventually fail. And so as soon as they have this remedy out, the best thing to do is to go to the dealer and get it fixed right away.
Exactly, get it done.
They'll be replacing the modules, and they're asking you to park outside in the meantime. I know this is a big inconvenience for people, but luckily it's a small number. The other one right above it there is the V030. Right, so it starts with the 2026, so it starts with 26 V030. That is completely a proactive recall. And what that means is because they found this issue with the other batteries in the small number of cars, they're going to install software called SDD, that is self-discharge detection software. And what that's going to do is monitor the batteries for any deviances where maybe it's draining a little more of its energy than it should be. So they can proactively say, hey, we think there might be a problem with this battery, go get it checked.
And there is one super important thing to say is that maybe you didn't know, but your BMS, that's the battery management system, works when your car sleeps. So when you park your car, the BMS system is balancing the cells, even if you lock it and walk away. So the BMS is still watching the batteries. And this software that Wes mentioned is installed in the BMS, and the BMS is able to very quickly detect any patterns that may be close to a potential issue. So it can very quickly detect this issue. And then when you, for example, come to your car, turn it on and want to drive, it will inform you if there is an issue that you shouldn't be driving.
Right. So the important thing to say about this is this particular one is completely proactive in case there's an issue to help them detect. The other one is they know there's an issue and it needs to be fixed. This is to install software to prevent it. And also, it's important to note that this is only for the SK On batteries, so the South Korea batteries. Go ahead.
If your car was made in Europe, you're fine. If your car was made here in US, they're using 2 different battery manufacturers. So Wes has LG. I have LG as well, but from Europe. And the recall doesn't apply to that manufacturer. The recall applies only to SK Americas. So that's the supplier of those batteries. And you can read all about it in the pages that are linked from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration page that has all the details. You can read all the synopsis, how VW found out and what they are doing about this.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note also that this is not specific to SK On. It is in this case, but they're not the only manufacturer that's ever had this problem. LG famously had the similar issue with their equipment with the Chevy Bolt recalls from a few years back. Jan, you've had Toyotas that have had?
I had Toyotas that had issues. Of course, that was an ICE car, but I had so many recalls, like even the engine had to be rebuilt in one of those recalls. I had a recall for the Toyota where the chassis had to be rewelded. My wife had a recall for her Tucson that also had the risk of fire warning, park outside. There were some problems with some fuses for ABS module. And so I think that we are super grateful that manufacturers proactively reach out to us and try to remediate the state so we don't get into trouble and the car is dependable.
I mean, it is required by law that they do this. Anything that is going to affect vehicle safety or cause it to not meet regulations. But I think that in this case, VW has issued this other recall, this V30 recall, voluntarily, proactively, just in case there might be a problem. So that's what I think a lot of manufacturers feel the same way as VW, that nobody wants to hurt someone. So
100%. And if you, for example, wondering like what is being done, then there are some details that this is, for example, the manual for the dealer to show like what needs to be done, and you kind of see the procedure that the dealer will follow. And if you scroll down, it entails physical removal. There are some parts that they need to have, and right here, this is the battery, how it looks when it's dropped from the car. So it's in the floor of your vehicle. And the good news is that the battery consists of these modules, and these modules have the individual cells inside. And so the way how this is manufactured is that from SK, they ship VW typically these individual boxes, and then on the manufacturing line, then VW puts this all together, plugs in the wiring, and of course makes sure that it's watertight and runs through tests. And so what the technician needs to go do is they have specific tools, specific procedures. They have some tools for diagnostics. They have the pressure and vacuum pump where they're testing if it's water sealed after.
I saw hose clamps up there. Look at all this stuff.
Yes.
You know, so I think what Jan's getting at is that this is not something that you can do at home.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's paid for, and there's no way for the layperson to even know which modules need to be replaced.
Exactly.
But there's a very involved procedure here.
It is very involved procedure, but the good news is that my car, as I mentioned, already had a similar procedure done. I have 2 new modules, and I have no problems with that. So if you haven't scheduled this appointment yet, schedule the appointment with your dealer and have it done as soon as possible.
Great.
And there are some other, unfortunately, there are also some other manufacturers impacted by this issue, because SK Americas also supplied Ford F-150, so they have exactly the same issue that this. There is also current recall for Mercedes. It's a different type of an issue. It seems like their software let the batteries overcharge a little bit. They have a different supplier, so there is a different issue with their batteries, but there are many other recalls going on.
Right. They use a Chinese manufacturer. This is a South Korean manufacturer, and and again, like we said, it happens with ICE cars too. But go to the NHTSA.gov website, put in your VIN, see if you're affected. And we realize not everybody knows what batteries in their car, so check those things. Jan and I are both fortunate that we're not affected by this particular one, but it should be an easy fix.
Yes, and what is actually good news is that even the older cars, like I have very old car, I have 2021 ID.4, and even my car is collecting some telemetry on the battery. And that's something that your dealer can tell you and can read and can give you a report. And so if you're worried, if you say, I'm really feeling uneasy about like driving my car, so you can bring it to the dealer and they'll just plug in their diagnostics. And there are different blocks that record different events on the battery, and they can tell you how your battery is doing. And so I think that's kind of peace of mind. I've actually analyzed mine because we had Otis with Wes. One of these events was, for example, when I drove to zero. Remember, that was a video when
it logged.
Yes, it logged. It was there, and the conclusion was that it was discharged to low capacity very safely in number of rides, and it kind of showed that my battery recovered after these modules being recorded. But it also showed that there was some event recorded when my OTA bricked my car and my car had to be towed to the service. So that was also available in that file. So your car already records it. So again, if you want to see, then your dealer can tell you that information.
One of my favorite takeaways from this recall, what's so interesting about modern manufacturing, particularly with a big company like Volkswagen, is that they've got not, when they were able to determine what the problem was, they were able to determine what particular machine in the SK America's factory was causing the misalignment, based on going through a bunch of different CT scans of these batteries. And so then they know exactly which batches of batteries came off of those particular machines. There was only like a handful, there are 2 or 3 of those machines. And then they know exactly which cars those those modules were put into and where.
Yes.
So
that's impressive. That's impressive how they can track to the very source of the issue.
And that's great.
I would hope that SK has some high resolution scanning where that would be part of their quality control, right? I would hope so, and I would hope that they adjust their machine learning algorithms to look for this specific issue.
I'm sure they will. I bet this is going to cost them a lot of money.
Yep.
You know, so everybody speaks that language.
Yeah. So get it done as soon as possible. That's our recommendation.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully this helps a few folks understand this a little better, and we'll see you next time.